wait till we get the green light. Yeah. I think we're going. Introduce us.
Hello, welcome to Project Ion Podcast. What is it, March 16th? From Northwest Iowa here in Esterville. We've got, four with us today? This is a horrible intro. I lost my page.
Here's your sheet.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I was trying to buy some time.
Save myself.
Hurry, bail me out. Yes. Online, projectionpodcast.home.blog. We're on iTunes too. If you search for Project Ion Podcast, all episodes are not current. I have work to do, so I'll get those two uploaded soon. We're on YouTube, obviously. That's where you are if you're watching us now. Email us at projectionpodcast@gmail.com for questions, comments, or if you'd like to be a guest or a sponsor. In the meantime, here we are. There's four of us here. How we doing, fellas?
Good. Staying dry.
Good.
For the most part. Weather looks good for the next 7 days.
Dry us out a little bit.
Oh my
eh?
God. Yeah. Can't wait to see the sun. What?
Yeah.
Here comes the sun, doo doo doo. Well, it's supposed to be about freezing every day for the foreseeable future.
Yep.
So that's progress.
Did you ever wind up with a leak or anything in your house, Kyle?
No, we've been fortunate
That's
so
good.
far.
How about you, Vin?
Yeah, we're pretty dry too.
Welcome
That's
to
good.
CBS this morning.
Sorry.
All good. We got a small river in our backyard though, which is as per usual.
Yeah.
But, we keep it pushed down to the drain. So staying dry. Fingers crossed.
That's good.
Fingers crossed.
So I see we're starting with a little
R. Kelly.
current events. Yeah.
Oh,
R.
yeah.
Kelly. This was an interesting watch. I watched this over my lunch period one time.
How long is it?
I want to get to the meltdown part.
See the one who peed on the kids?
Well, he's got, I mean, R. Kelly has something every time you turn
He's
around.
got
He's
a
always
rap
peeing on
sheet.
somebody, or he's got like a
Allegedly.
17-year-old girlfriend or whatever it might
Yeah.
be. So,
He's
yeah,
an odd dog.
yeah, that's for sure. All right, let's check it out.
You know.
Hate me if you want to, love me if you want, but just use your common sense. How stupid would it be for me to, with my crazy past and what I've been through, right now I just think I need to be a monster and hold girls against their will, chain them up in my basement, and don't let them eat and don't let them out unless they need some shoes down the street from their uncle.
What? Yeah, that's just it. What the heck was he talking about? They need some shoes from their uncle. I have no idea. I mean, the allegations, I guess we should maybe mention, are that this dude, like, pretty much kidnapped women and held them as slaves in his basement. And but I still have yet to figure out what shoes are being bought from their uncle down the road. So
I heard that he never actually denied the claims in this interview. He just kind of said that you're crazy if you think that, and just kind of implied that he didn't do it, but he never actually flat out denied what he was being accused of.
I'd like to hear somebody with like some expertise in psychology, because I feel like there's maybe some cues going on here that are like, oh yeah, this is clearly a tactic that people that are lying do or something,
Right.
you know, because there's a lot of deflection and
Mhm.
beating around the bush, but
A body language expert.
right.
Well, that's not me.
yeah.
Stop it. Y'all quit playing. Quit playing. I didn't do this stuff. This is not me. I'm fighting for my life.
Well, that's a denial.
Kind of.
Yeah.
I didn't do this stuff.
Yeah.
But then I'm fighting for my life. Okay.
So he's quit doing this to me is what he says. Putting the blame on other people.
Right. Like he's being attacked.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all trying to kill me.
Y'all trying to kill me.
You're killing me, man. This is not about music. I'm trying to have a relationship with my kids, and I can't do it.
See, that was a non sequitur to me. It's like, what the heck is going on there? I don't really get that.
But I don't know. It's fascinating.
I thought they locked him up in the first place because he was in like 300,000 of arrears and child support or something like that. So.
Yeah, and then they somehow bailed him out. Posted like $100,000 a bond. So I don't know how that works, but
I don't know. I don't know much about R. Kelly. I don't follow this stuff that's going on. I mean, to me, it's kind of like today's Michael Jackson with the children at the Neverland Ranch.
Yeah.
But let's say he didn't do it. Can you imagine the amount of stress that he must be under and the amount of pressure that he was under when he did this interview? I mean, yeah, I'd probably blow up too.
I don't know. I feel like if you didn't do it, then you got nothing to worry about.
Well, yeah, but I don't know.
But I suppose if you're trying to defend yourself and no one else will, maybe you have to.
So how do you guys feel about? On the same note, the Michael Jackson stuff. There's lots of radio stations around the country who are banning his music from the radio stations because of the Neverland Ranch documentary. How do you guys feel about that? Do you think there's virtue signaling, or
you got to separate the musician from the music?
If you want to go down that road, then, like Disney, you'd never buy another Disney product again or go to Disney World. He's an anti-Semite, so they say. So yeah, definitely separate the man from his art.
Michael Jackson's a weirdo, no doubt about it, but he made good music.
R. Kelly's a music, one of them rappers.
Yeah.
I don't know a single R. Kelly.
Ignition,
or I Believe I Can. Space Jam. Hello.
Oh yeah.
I believe I can fly.
That was R. Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Huh.
I believe so. Maybe I'm wrong. Check me out on that, but I'm like
fact check.
I'm going to take your word for it because I don't care enough to look. I'm just going to
Yeah.
All right, let's keep it going here.
Y'all just don't want to believe the truth. You don't want to believe it.
There comes his wrangler.
His handler.
The handler, yeah.
Give Kelly a moment. His publicist helped calm him down.
Supportive hand on your back.
No, we're going to
This
let
is
the
not
camera keep
true.
rolling.
This is not, doesn't even make sense. Why would I hold all these women? Their mothers and fathers told me, we're going to destroy your career.
But Kelly's emotions remained raw.
It's real girls out there missing. There's real young girls out there being abducted, being raped, okay? They really are on chains. They really do have chains on their wrists. And
How do you know?
See, doesn't that feel like there's...
That's where he buys them.
Yeah, maybe.
No, that was mean. This does seem like a deflection.
Yeah, yeah, but there's other bad stuff that you should be paying attention to.
Yeah,
Don't focus on my bad stuff.
Well, he had the whole start to this thing was like, 15, 20 years ago when he had that dirty tape with an underage girl and it leaked. And everybody's like, holy crap, that's R. Kelly. But I think it got dismissed in court because he couldn't prove it was him or something. I don't remember. But, that's how everything started in the investigations. And they kind of found that it was bigger than just, as bad as an underage flick is, they found more to it than just that. So it's kind of been... downhill ever since.
Yeah, well, I feel like this is like the third or fourth go around with him with some kind of scandal along these lines. Yeah, so I don't know. It wasn't. There was one clip I saw, or some commentary on this clip that I thought was especially interesting, and their takeaway was not, here's a guy acting like a, somebody who's trapped in a lie or something and is desperately trying to rationalize their behavior, but instead it was because. Oh, he was acting like this because he was being challenged by a woman. Gayle King was interviewing him. And that was the take. And I'm not sure if I've got the right clip here or not, but we'll keep it going and see.
Can't get out. Robert, and they're ending up buried in deep.
Robert, we have to have a conversation. Really, I don't want you just ranting at the camera.
I came here for them to hear me talk. But I need help.
What kind of help?
This is the kind of help I need.
Yes, what kind of help?
I need somebody to help me not have a big heart.
Oh.
My heart is so big People betray me, and I keep forgiving them.
You sound like you're playing the victim here. You sound like R. Kelly. You do.
Oh man,
I'm just telling the truth.
You're playing
he's
the
a
victim.
freaking little toddler.
And the reason I'm emotional,
Robert,
and I apologize for that,
No,
is
no,
because
no,
this
no.
is the
Maybe he's a
first
victim.
time I was.
Maybe you never know. Maybe this was a situation where, all of these, girlfriends of his that maybe were perfectly legitimate, who weren't trapped, just decided they want money. I mean, you can't rule that out either. I mean, all things being equal, the simplest solution is probably correct. But yeah, I don't know. In situations like this, one reason I don't like interviews of this nature is because we don't really have any idea what the hell the facts are.
Mm-hmm.
We have what these girls said. We have what these parents said. We have what R. Kelly says. They're still doing the investigation, aren't they?
As far as I know, I think that's true.
Not sure, I guess.
But
innocent until proven guilty.
I mean, it's almost like they're trying to convict him in the court of public opinion before the facts come out, which I'm not a fan of.
Right.
I mean, that's one reason our country's so effed up today.
I don't
much.
disagree.
Mm-hmm.
I don't disagree. But I don't know. Something just seems off about that to me.
Well, I don't disagree. I just wish we knew everything before we started doing interviews. And
yeah,
well, this guy looks serious.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to get it to dig up the next one here. Any more commentary on
R.
Kelly? Yeah.
No, I mean,
guy seems nuts to me.
Yeah.
Seems like a narcissist.
Well,
to
he
me.
didn't have to agree to do the interview.
Well,
either.
I was literally just thinking that.
So
why the hell did he do that?
Yeah. All right, what do we got here?
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. I
Hi.
hope you're all having a blessed day.
Hold on, pause it for a second. Jimmy, we should probably get some background to who this guy
I'm
is.
unfamiliar with this fellow.
Yeah, fill us in.
No, you got it.
Fill us in on the manatee.
No, you. It's all
Okay.
you know him better than I.
So we've searched deep in the internet to find a content creator worse than the Project Ion podcast. And we found a guy in Festus, Missouri.
In Festus, Missouri, or in Festus, Missouri?
Festus, Missouri, the St. Louis kind of proper area, roughly. Podunk, yeah. So.
Trailer park.
Brett Keane, but he's been on the internet, on YouTube forever, and he's kind of been flopping around in obscure circles. And
I like him already.
This podcast that I really like called Drunken Peasants locked onto him like 4 or 5 years ago, and they had just a huge war with him. And he'd be.
I think originally he was one of the first
atheist
YouTubers, yeah, or free thinkers, whatever. Yep. And then he kind of had this fallout, and he quote unquote converted back to Christianity, and everybody's kind of just thinking that's BS to try to get views. And all
what he really is an e-beggar, so he's always like, "Oh, I can't afford my kitty litter or whatever it might be," and
let's get rid of your cat.
Yeah, right. And bro, my kids have, meningitis or something. And he's making up all sorts of stories. And then, of course, he's always plugging a donate to my PayPal. Oh, yeah. See, look at the screen.
Yeah.
Please support, donate at PayPal, and, all this.
TV radio.
Yep. So there's all this stuff. But anyways, he mostly just makes smear videos about people, so I don't know. It'd be cool if we could get on his radar and maybe get into a fight with him.
How many listeners or viewers does he have?
Oh, he's only got like 200 subs, so yeah. I mean, he makes us look like
he used to be semi-popular though.
That's true.
When he started, he was pretty popular, but
yeah, in the earliest days of YouTube, he was like one of the more well-known kind of atheist free thinker type YouTubers, but
he's just everybody's kind of seeing through his BS,
right? And he's just a kind of backstabbing type of a guy. But anyways,
that's not nice.
Yeah.
Say, this is my body, therefore I get to kill a baby all the way up to 9 months old, or right as it comes out of the womb. Then surely she should be able to also argue if she wants to commit suicide. It's her body. She can do whatever she wants with it.
That's a good point.
I don't disagree. I mean, if we're talking abortion now, but
oh, we did that last week.
This is a response, I think, to some of that abortion stuff. And then I think Kamala Harris say that prostitution should be that's what's the title of this video? Let me look here. Kamala Harris plan to legalize prostitution by the Manatee.
And you would also think that if it's a woman's body, then she should be able to sell it into whorehouses and troughs. And
No, I made this argument last week.
If she wants to use her body as a business, it's her temple. She should be able to allow anybody and everybody to fuck her, providing that they have the money that she seeks in the process or the business deal, right? Well, let's see what Democrats and liberals have to say about that. Apparently, they follow that logic as well. Rules of the jungle. Let's take a listen.
Do you think that sex work ought to be decriminalized?
I think so. I do. When you're talking about consenting adults, I think that, yes, we should really consider that we can't criminalize consensual behavior.
I think Kamala Harris got reamed for this because this was a flip-flop because she used to be a DA or something in California somewhere, and of course would have prosecuted people for prostitution and other related crimes. So,
Kamala Harris backing the idea of legalized prostitution, a far cry from her position as San Francisco DA. Coming out against Proposition K, a 2008 ballot measure to
So he's getting this from Fox News, isn't he?
Oh yeah,
I'm sure. Yeah,
yeah. This is how Brett rolls. He just sort of, has some milquetoast opinion about something. And it's really not all that different than what we do.
Constitution in the city by the Bay. Harris telling the New York Times at the time it would put a welcome mat out for pimps and prostitutes to come in to San Francisco.
Oh no! What they should do is they should regulate and tax it.
Prostitution,
sure.
Yeah, there you go. Just like marijuana legislation. Use it to pay for education.
Have any of you guys been to San Francisco before?
Nope. No, I don't plan to ever go either.
Yeah, I've been twice.
Near future.
Yeah.
Is the homelessness as bad as they say?
It is.
Needles and poop everywhere, basically.
Yeah.
So that's why you're wearing that, scarf, those clear plastic glasses, and fedora,
right?
Hipster.
I was getting sick of this podcast, turned into a conservative circle jerk. So I am now.
I didn't realize it was.
The insufferable
I missed
hipster.
out.
Yeah.
The insufferable hipster.
Yep. I don't know why you guys can't be a little more tolerant.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've got my ear gauges, clear, thick frame glasses, fedora.
What are your pronouns?
So are you in
Zer, Zim,
and Jim,
Jim, and they self. Okay, back to the Manatee.
Yes, it sure would. That is for sure. Now, there is, besides completely attacking the concept,
I love how he's just laying down in bed.
Is he really?
Yeah.
The pro is
he's like got his. I think he's got his computer set up like on a desk or something, and his bed is just like close by it. And he's just laying.
Dude, that's awesome.
Expecting to see his feet pop up.
It's gonna wiggle in the background.
Check out that wallpaper and stuff. Okay, how old do you guys think he is?
He's 53 and a half.
53? Okay.
47.
47? Kevin, you're the closest. I think he's like 41.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
Man.
Seriously.
That's insane.
Yeah. 40, maybe 42. Okay, because he looked the same like a few years ago.
Well, he and I could have gone to high school together.
Right, yeah. So
that's nuts.
You've aged a lot better than Brett Keane.
I know.
Oh, that's funny.
In the corner anymore. They'll be able to be up in whorehouses like they used to do down in Texas, where they could have a nice warm building to be in, and between having sex with people, they can also make sure that they're getting their injections of whatever drugs their pimps get them.
Injections of
course.
Is that true? Is prostitution legal in Texas at some point?
I don't know. I mean,
There's something down there. It's like the Bunny Ranch or something. That
I thought that was outside of Las Vegas.
Yeah, I thought that was Nevada. Too.
Yeah, that's outside of Vegas, as far as I know, or Reno, or one of those.
Because that kind of goes against my preconceived notions about Texas.
Oh, yeah.
Prostitution.
I mean, Austin
would be...
maybe, but
well, let's Google the Bunny Ranch, find out where it is.
Yes, all right, some fact checker.
If women are able to legalize prostitution, they really wouldn't need the pimps so much. They would just need someone who's decent with business who could run organizations like this. We could really, if we wanted to, turn the United States into a fucking...
you got this figured out.
Carson City, Nevada.
Sodom and Gomorrah that makes the Sodom and Gomorrah in the Bible look like a sweet Sunday school deal. And this kind of reminds me, we've been doing a lot of things on identity politics lately and culture, and we've been trying to bring that...
Do you guys notice? I don't think he has any teeth.
Well, he does live in Missouri.
Sounds kind of gummy. Yeah. I've got in-laws in Missouri. I got to be a little bit careful about what I say.
Oh, I've got plenty of family in Missouri. That's why I say it.
Northern Missouri, though, right, Jimmy?
Yeah. Well, they were in Kirksville, but now they're in Jefferson City area, so they kind of moved a little further south.
I'm kidding, by the way, Auntie. Love you.
Oh shoot, my grandma lives in Branson. Hey, Grandma.
She's tuned.
Yeah.
Down the age of consent on children,
Arn.
as well as telling little boys that they're two little girls and dressing them up and having them do photoshops with naked adults and all that.
with making belts?
By photoshops? What did he say?
This guy, I'm dumber now after listening to this asshole. My lord.
That's how he operates. But now you need to contribute to his Patreon after listening.
No.
You're stealing.
Is there a way that I can take money away from his Patreon because he's taken like minutes of my life?
It's going to get to a point where we're going to probably argue that, well, it's a kid's body. The kid can do whatever he wants. And some of you might think, well, there's no way they'd ever do that. Of course they would. In the United States of America, there was a 14-year-old who decided to sue his own parents because his parents were saying that the kid had mental illness or something, and that the kid thought that he was a completely different gender altogether and wanted to get surgery. The United States, as well as Canada, have actually allowed, the court systems have allowed kids to mutilate themselves with the help of a doctor, whether the fucking parents like it or not. So
there's our MA rating.
Oh, we've been way over that for weeks.
Well, check out his email. Contact me, Brett Keane Phone.
Brett Keane Phone?
gmail.com. He's probably exhausted every other email.
Should we troll him a little bit?
You can call him up.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Oh, good grief.
You know, that might be not a bad idea one of these days. See if we can get Brett.
Keenster.
Yeah. Shoot, it'd help us both out.
Yeah, right. We need more. We picked up our 31st subscriber.
Yeah.
Yep. So
we got it back.
We
lost it after
the placenta
recipes.
Episode, did some damage to our rep, but we got back to where we were.
That was a great show.
A friend of mine who watches these after we record them, I think she's actually watching live now, told us that we should have had some sort of a disclaimer, just because people weren't quite ready for the visual of the salted herb marinated placenta
noodles. Yeah. Did you see that one, Kevy?
I remember hearing about it.
Yeah. Man, it's pretty raunchy.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes I feel like under my tutelage, it's just sort of.
Is there a podcast called Wonder Kid?
I haven't heard of it.
It's 4 guys and one of them's wearing a Pope's hat.
Oh,
I'm getting comments, but I'm not getting comments in the thread. They're texting me.
Oh.
I'm going to Google that right now.
You can call me Wonder Kid.
Well, we already do.
Trans father says it's childish Gambino.
Here we go.
Childism.
Here we go.
Oh, yeah.
Point of gender is that we...
Okay, hold on. What the hell is this? What is that? What is it? Is that?
It sounds to me like you're not very tolerant there, Pope Kyle.
Yeah.
Hey, are we trying to gender this person?
Yes.
Isn't that? Yeah, I think the hipster should have something to say about that.
Well, their gender is whatever they want it to be.
Okay.
Who?
So
who's they?
This human.
This person here.
This
no,
human
they is plural.
I want to know what the Spanish language is going to do because words in Spanish have male and female.
Oh yeah.
Well, French and
well, I'm sure most languages probably do.
Yeah, the Latin-based ones.
Yeah.
Got all. Yeah.
That's pretty sexist, I think.
Law gender neutral.
Yeah.
I suppose you have to go with the feminine. Well, no, not necessarily.
Yeah, well, you refer to Latino, Latina, but is it Latinx or something? Is that a thing now? Isn't that's a thing,
I have
right?
heard that. Yeah, Latinx.
So I'm confused. Good Morning Britain, Orlando.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on
Should
here.
be a comma. Good morning, Britain, comma Orlando.
Maybe it's just because our IQ's dropped 50 points after watching
I'm
Brett
going to be
Keane.
the progressive one and just call this person an
what their
individual.
anatomy is, we do
That's a
choose to
chick.
keep that private.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta be a chick.
I think the context here is that this lady is raising a baby.
A baby?
Yeah, it says Florida family are raising their gender-neutral child as a baby.
How fucked up does that kid end up being down the road?
Did you guys see the
really?
Did you see the picture of the dude? No, it's a chick, but she like did the hormone stuff and she started to grow a beard and looked close to a dude, but she got pregnant and she's like got this huge beard and she's just got a pregnant belly and it's the creepiest thing ever. It's crazy.
Is that the couple that was like living in a Winnebago or something? Or
I don't know.
I saw one of those. It was a similar deal, and they like their residence was a Winnebago in the back of their friend's yard or something.
It's not a bad way to do it.
Yeah,
I mean, property taxes are nothing.
Right. Yep. Kind of
The
semi.
auto insurance. You don't have to worry about homeowners.
Yeah.
Maybe I should rethink how I'm doing this. I'm not moving out of my folks' house. I'm just going to buy a Winnebago and park in the turnaround.
There you go.
To a short list of caregivers.
Now, this was not the situation, was it, with Hazel, who was your first child? Because Hazel,
Yes,
you did
that's
bring up in, as a little girl.
Well, I did assign binary pronouns to Hazel initially, yes. And then when they were older, they articulated a preference for using they, them pronouns. Someone can identify as a boy and, like any color, any toy, sports, dance, pink, blue, whatever. And same with identifying as a girl or non-binary. People's interests or hobbies or preferences don't dictate what their gender is.
That is absolutely true, but words matter. Words still have meaning. And to remove all meaning from words because you have a problem with calling somebody a boy or a girl is the logical outcome of radical leftism these days, I think.
Well, is that did you have more there?
No.
Dan, or, okay. I felt like we were on the cusp of a rant.
I'm good.
Free rant.
Well, I don't. I sort of. I don't feel like the situation at the home front could really happen unless there was a parent sort of kind of encouraging the,
and I was just going to say that too. Like I look at my own kid. My child is a boy. I'm going to raise a boy. I mean, if you don't introduce that stuff, I don't like I don't know.
Let's expand on that problem here. So, if we raise a little baby, and we don't raise it as whatever sex it is. And down the road, if a child decides, that he is homosexual or whatever, that's fine. But at some point, if we don't
distinguish,
if we take it to the point where we are imposing our will on our children to not gender them, they're going to grow up not knowing how a specific gender typically behaves. And I'm not saying you have to behave a certain way as a gender, but when we get to masculinity and femininity, when they learn that, they're going to be learning it from popular culture, not by the examples that they were raised under. If you're raised to be nothing, you're going to grow up to be nothing, and then when you decide to become something, you're going to be looking at movies and TV and advertisements to see how you should behave.
Mm-hmm. And is that really the influence that you want on your kid, to be a well-adjusted person, and to take all your social cues?
The point is, they're not going to be well-adjusted if
Right.
they have to start looking to other places to learn how to be who they were born to be.
Well, if your idea of what a man is like The Rock in an action movie or something, or what it means to be female is like Stormy Daniels, or that's totally crazy.
Yeah. That's exactly the problem. Is that's where these kids are going to have to learn how to become whatever gender they decide to be, is through popular culture, not by let's take the stereotypical male, somebody who's strong, somebody who is a protector of his family, somebody who is respectful of women and others, somebody who, I don't know. I mean, you can take that so many different ways and misconstrue it. So I'm going to stop there. But, a child isn't going to learn the proper way to be whatever they would decide to be if they have to pick their own gender when they're, 10, 6, 5?
Well, I mean,
I like baseball. I'm a boy. Yeah. Hey, that doesn't work that way.
I see what happens when the kid hits puberty, though. I mean, then you're like, there comes a point to where if you're going to raise a baby, you're going to find out the hard way that, oh crap, yeah, I'm definitely a girl. Or, yeah, I'm definitely a boy. I don't know how.
Or somewhere in between. That's what we're talking about here. They could be more on one side or the other. And to put it in a personal example, I have a little girl and she does very girly things. But if she did boyish things, and say she even did boyish things most of the time, I still wouldn't call her a boy.
Right.
I would call her a girl who
because
likes
she's
to
a
do some
girl.
boy things.
Because she's a girl.
Right. Since when does because you like to do boy things, even though your gender may be female, why does it then make you a boy?
And a very cute little girl.
Thank you. Why do we have to change the meaning of words? I guess is my big question. That's been going on for a long time now, like changing the meaning and definitions of things.
How does a child grow up really knowing what it would mean to be one or the other if they're raised to be neither?
I think that's what they're going for. I think that's the goal.
Yeah, but to put that on a child to decide what gender they have to be, or decide what gender they feel like they are, they're not. They won't have the maturity to understand exactly what their mother is talking about or trying to raise them as until they're so old they're going to be so confused and messed up.
But I think that the whole goal of this is to remove what it means to be a man or a woman in the traditional sense. For example, teach Hudson to open the door for his first girlfriend, his first date.
Yeah.
Don't do that anymore because it doesn't matter if he's a boy or a girl. People can open doors themselves.
Right. I don't want Hudson to assume that she's a girl, so he should open the door for her.
Right. I'm not saying that's right. I'm saying that I think is what the ultimate goal is. For some reason, I don't know why, in the name of equality, I guess.
Yeah. To what end?
Right. Right. Why? We've been doing pretty good with male and female for a long time now. I don't know why that has to change.
How do you guys respond to the argument that what this is really about is a confusion between what constitutes a person's sex and then what constitutes a person's gender? Gender exists as a social
gender role, you mean?
Or a gender? Well, I mean, gender as a concept is like a social construct. So it's all the stuff that society assigns to being female or male, like boys like baseball and girls like playing with dolls and that sort of thing. And a person can be somewhere on a spectrum as far as their gender goes. So, you may like a few boy things, you may like a lot of girl things, even though your sex is the reverse or, somewhere on that spectrum then.
And I think that's fine. You can still like boy things if you're a girl and vice versa, but that still makes you a boy or a girl, ultimately. It doesn't change your biology unless you undergo these therapies.
Still doesn't.
And whatnots.
Still
Well,
doesn't.
and that's
Still
the
have
argument.
boy DNA.
Well, okay. Yeah, some would say yes, some would say no. But yeah, it's like you're born this, you're going to be that for the rest of your life until you do something pretty drastic to change that.
I don't really care what people call themselves.
That's
if Jimmy, let's say you're having a crisis.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're.
I am. Yeah.
You're.
I'm always having an existential crisis. My life, in fact, is just one giant existential crisis.
Let's say you want to transition. Okay, and you say, Kyle, I'd really like you to call me Jemina. Jemima.
I like Jemima better.
Jemima. All right.
Yeah.
And Jemima.
I would probably do that just because you're my friend
Mhm.
and I respect you. But if some Joe Schmo ran into me out on the street and I said, "Sorry, dude, you bumped into me" or whatever,
Right.
he's like, "I'm not a dude. My
Yeah.
name's
Excuse me, sir."
Mary or something."
Yeah.
Yeah, like Superman or whatever. The guy
Yeah.
flipping out in the GameStop.
Oh
Remember
yeah,
that?
that's a great video.
It's ma'am. Give me your corporate number, bro. It's ma'am.
Don't tell me what to call you. I mean, and you sure as heck better not legislate that I call you something that you're not.
Like what they're trying to do in Canada.
Yeah.
And that's Jordan Peterson's whole thing. Is
Mhm.
He's railing against legislating this kind of stuff. instead of
Compelled
just-
speech.
Right.
Yep.
Well, so I'm kind of drawing a blank here. So this sir, this ma'am, this these niceties, these way that we are polite to people who we don't know their name or now their gender. What do we say instead? Oh, pardon me, fucker.
Yeah.
Good
question.
Pardon me, sir.
Pardon me.
They.
Pardon me,
Sorry-
you.
sorry,
Pardon me,
they.
person.
Yeah.
Pardon me, human. I mean, that's not the same as the polite way that we refer to others and show respect to others when we don't necessarily know who they are.
And I think we just do the best we can. We assume, say the word assume. If you think you run into a girl, you call, "Sorry, ma'am," "Sorry, sir," whatever. But to then turn around and correct the person who apologizes for running into you is a completely different thing. It's like practically we just do the best we can and move on.
Well, isn't there some utility in, I mean, having words that are tied to a person's sex
course, yes.
for a certain, so I mean, it was ever thus. And the word gender has been used to mean sex, I think, historically in a lot of different
Yeah.
contexts, right? I mean, your driver's license or something or whatever. So there is all this kind of word salad, muddying of the water, confusion stuff that I think is a product of scholarship.
Shunned in general. This reminds me of one of the recent Joe Rogan shows where they had Jack Dorsey back on, CEO of Twitter, with one of his lawyers. And
Yeah, that was a good one.
Have you guys heard of Tim Pool?
Tim Pool,
I wasn't familiar with him.
Yeah, I'm
until
a
I saw
fan.
that.
Yeah.
Oh, he's like the little sidekick. JR.
He was Tim Pool was a guy on that particular episode. Tim Pool is the guy with a stocking hat on.
Yeah, but
and he's going back and forth with Apple or
with a Twitter.
Yeah.
I'd never heard of the guy until
Yeah.
recently.
He's
but-
good. He's sharp.
Yeah. And he brought up some excellent points. He would describe himself as pretty leftist, I think, but who sympathizes with the censorship that's going on against the right. And Twitter all but admitted that, yes, they are indeed biased towards one political ideology.
We've got some work to do.
Yeah.
We're not perfect. We've got
Take
some
that
work
under
to do.
advisement.
Yeah.
Take it under advisement. Yeah.
Thank you for your input.
Yeah. And he admitted that their rules, their terms of service
Mhm.
lean one way over another because you can get kicked off of Twitter for dead naming. You guys familiar with this term? Which is, say, Jimmy finishes his transitioning and then Kyle comes back on Twitter and calls him Jim, his former name.
Right.
Over and over
dead
again. Dead naming.
Yeah.
You could get kicked off.
What a joke.
Well, and I think you can get booted off for misgendering somebody intentionally, right?
Yeah, on a consistent basis, and if it's targeted.
Yeah, we look for a targeted pattern of harassment.
Right.
It's like, But yeah, that Tim Pool guy was like, okay, but what about this person? What about? And he had like example after example of extremely terrible harassment type stuff coming out of like Antifa or something.
Calling
like
for the
that.
death of the Covington Catholic kids. Calling for the death of children. And those guys are still allowed on Twitter.
Or Kathy Griffin wanted them doxxed or something like that.
Yep.
But but that's allowed because they're leftist and they're also wow, my brain is just not firing on all cylinders at the moment. Well, they're accepting of everybody because they're on the left, and so they can get away with calling for the death of children.
And yet Alex Jones, who said get your battle rifles ready, that was one of the reasons they gave for kicking him off of Twitter.
I did it.
Oh.
Speaking of Alex Jones, the JRE interview with Alex, that was pretty good. I watched all 4 hours.
Did you really?
How do you do it?
Yeah,
I chunked it up. I put it on while I was working out. And,
you have to.
Oh man,
it was good. I mean, it was entertaining.
Let Eddie Bravo pump you up.
Oh God, I'm not a big fan of his Joe's sidekicks on that show, but
the fight companion people.
Oh, Eddie Bravo's
whoops, sorry.
Eddie Bravo's a flat earther, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's
a good conspiracy.
Yeah, it is.
A bit of childism, which is assuming that someone has to be a legal adult to have the capacity to know themselves.
Childism is a new one.
It's a new one.
So this is the latest of the isms.
Childism.
If you tell a kid what to do, you're a childist.
Oh boy. Better let just the kids run wild.
We need to be free range parenting.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, this really ties into last week now.
Yeah, it sure does.
Wow.
A child can explore identity.
All right, Ari, I've heard just about every ism imaginable. I've never heard. I've been accused of every ism, and I'm struggling with this new world of ism.
Childism is the normalization of the mistreatment of children just because they're young. Like assuming that they can't.
The normalization of the mistreatment of children just because they're young.
So my child takes a paperclip and he wants to stick it in a light socket that's turned on. And so I grab his hand, I take it out, I give him a swat on the behind so he knows that that's not good. But I am a childist.
I guess.
Because I don't want my son to electrocute himself.
Yeah.
Or he wants to touch, the glowing hot embers of a beautiful fire, and so I smack his hand so he knows that that's bad. I'm a childist, and I should be...
You should be removed from Twitter.
Or my 2-year-old who repeats things at home starts dropping F-bombs in Sunday school. Correcting him is childism.
You can't be a parent anymore.
Nope.
Because that's childish.
Because that's what she's saying. I'm sorry, that's what that individual is saying.
Didn't we? Well, it's got to be a chick. I'm still kind of.
I would say
it's a chick. There's no Adam's apple.
Well, I think what's the title of the video? Trans father. Yeah, it says it's childism.
What does that even mean? Like, I don't even know what trans father.
Hold on. If it's a trans father, does that mean it's originally a mother?
A mother who took on the role of a father?
Or
every single parent on the planet is also a trans father.
Well,
or every single mother on the planet is also a trans father.
I don't know.
It depends on. This trans father identifies as
I want to
man, I guess, or identifies as a father.
I want to create a new word and just show up on Good Morning Britain to explain myself.
Have opinions or ideas, that they can't, obviously they do need guidance and structure, but mistreating them or treating them like property or denying their identity and autonomy.
So giving a child.
I love this face.
Jimmy, pull this up.
Don't you love this face?
Punchable, crap-eating gremlins.
Yeah, let's pull this up because let's take it there and laugh a little bit more. It's Pat, 1994 skit from SNL.
Yes. Yeah, let's find a little. It's Pat.
It's Pat.
Because no way would It's Pat skits fly anymore, huh?
No, they wouldn't.
I remember seeing the VHS cover of this at the Video Warehouse and being confused as a child. I was like, what is
that? I don't know if I've ever seen this.
Oh, it's been a long time.
Yeah. It was an SNL skit that turned into a movie, I guess.
It's peculiar.
Yes, and yet wondrously provocative.
A cultural event of apocalyptic significance.
It's almost as if...
It may disturb you. It may even shock you.
Just leave me alone.
Oh, God.
What the hell are you?
What do you think?
Are you a brother or a sister?
Well, I'm an only child.
As God is my witness, I will uncover the mystery that is Pat.
Pretty creepy, huh?
Pleased to meet you.
Gorgeous.
Do you have a photo of you in the nude?
Yes, I do, sir. I need some napkins.
I am in hell now.
You never know when Aunt Wilma's going to stop by for lunch.
There's a word for what you are.
Charismatic?
This summer.
Oh man, this would be Nazi propaganda today.
I've seen like all sorts of different stuff in this one that wouldn't fly. I mean, they stereotype the black guys.
Yeah.
You know, they look like gang banger type dudes or whatever.
How far have we come? This is 1994. That's just wow.
This is not really. I mean, it doesn't feel that long ago to me, I guess. But
the whole premise of Ace Ventura: Pet Detective also
25 years
surrounded around her was focused on this trans issue, where the big reveal at the end was what looked to be a female throughout the entire movie. Turns out it was actually a dude, and everybody is watching this big reveal at the end, and they're all horrified and disgusted at it. And, yeah, they'd all be transphobes these days.
Oh man. Getting a little warm over there, Mr. Jimmy.
I'm going back to normal. Whoops.
Well, I may be a hippie for a while. Or a yuppie, excuse me.
You gonna put on your conspiracy glasses?
Is it okay if I try these on?
Have at it. There's a fedora too if you want it.
What?
You can wear that fedora too.
I will. I suppose putting it in the nose would be going too far.
I have to call you Atom, not
Child
Adam.
agenda because of its
I just go like,
anatomy.
damn.
There you go.
Assuming that they're boy or girl, or giving them a name, all that would be childism from your point of view.
Not giving them, but forcing them to use them regardless of what the child wanted.
So if a 3-year-old child decides, I'm no longer a boy or girl, I'm no longer going to be called Bob, I want to be called Doris, whatever it may be, if a 3-year-old child decides to do that, and I object and say, no, your name is Bob, not Doris, and you're a boy, not a girl, at 3, then I'm guilty of childism.
Potentially, yes.
Mic drop. I love that picture of her right there. Oh man.
Yeah, so well, it's so confusing to me. And we have defined like statutes on the books for what constitutes child abuse and neglect and that sort of thing. And to invent some sort of a childism out of thin air when it's like to call routine parenting childism.
Okay, let's flip that around. So it's adultism to assume that I'm responsible enough to pay my bills. It's that I'm wipe my own butt.
That's adultism.
Eat, feed myself.
Yeah. Go to work.
So if anybody accuses me of being lazy, no, you're just being an adultist. I shouldn't be. You shouldn't be assumed that I can take care of myself.
Being an adulterer.
That's different. A little.
Oh man,
it's you can't have childism without adultism.
Yeah.
So somebody has to take care of me now because you're being adultist by assuming that I can take care of myself.
We don't have to. If you're with this Green New Deal, you can be unwilling to work and still be taken care of. So.
Is that still in there?
So says Mr. Climate Change.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, we should bring that up and take a gander at it.
The Green New Deal.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful piece of legislation.
I think it's just a House resolution, isn't it? Right?
Yeah, I don't think it's binding.
I don't even read the news anymore, so I don't even know what it is.
It was AOC's thing that she rolled out why don't we find it quick and does anybody care?
No.
Okay.
Certainly don't care about AOC.
Are you guys familiar with Ilhan Omar?
No.
Congresswoman in Minnesota.
Oh, the one who's catching all the flack because she's a Muslim?
Because she's an anti-Semite, yeah.
Wow.
And here's a quote. By defiance to the Zionist-occupied government, Ilhan Omar is now the most important member of the U.S. Congress. A quote from Mr. David Duke, former Grand Wizard of the KKK, who supports Ilhan Omar.
Wow.
You've got this interesting blend now of like radical right supporting radical left anti-Semites, and it's like it seems to be imploding now. People don't know what to make of this because you've got
that's crazy.
So much extremism on each side, and basically, she came under fire. Omar did in 2012, I guess. She accused Israel of hypnotizing the world and praying that Allah would awaken His people and help them to see its evil doings.
How did she get elected?
Yeah, good question.
She's Minnesota, right?
Minnesota, yeah.
Well, I mean,
Minneapolis is her.
That's her zone.
Her zone, yeah.
It's San Francisco of the Midwest.
That's
right.
Well,
Shout out
I
to
would
Dylan.
I would say Madison, Wisconsin is the San Francisco of the Midwest.
Bad town.
Maybe Minneapolis and Madison can duke it out for who's the most progressive.
Minneapolis.
Yeah. Okay. You want a Green New Deal it here?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay. Whoop. Sorry. Alrighty.
Congress.
Yep. House resolution. Blah, blah, blah. So. Number one, we say that human activity is a dominant cause of observed climate change over the past century.
Okay.
Changing climate is causing sea levels to rise and an increase in wildfires, severe storms, droughts, and other extreme weather. Events threaten human life, healthy communities, and critical infrastructure.
Okay.
Global warming at or above 2 degrees Celsius beyond pre-industrialized levels will cause A, mass migration, B, more than $5 zillion in lost annual economic output for the U.S. by 2100, wildfires, loss of 99% of coral reefs, more than 350 million more people to be exposed globally of deadly heat stress, risk of damage of, kind of epic damage to public infrastructure, coastal real estate.
Pretty specific numbers.
I was going to say, according to what or who?
Yeah.
Right.
So if this is just a House resolution, can't Trump just veto it?
Well, I think it's just, I think all House resolution means is like, this is what we think.
Yeah, just
You
a
know?
recommendation.
So it's
Well,
yeah.
They tried to do a House resolution. What was it, about 5 or 10 years ago? Acknowledging was it the Armenian genocide or was it the genocide of Jews under Germany?
Oh, I don't know.
Don't
And it was like this big to do.
the Young Turks deny it.
The young turds.
Did you guys see that video on the tie between that said Genk was like the mastermind behind AOC and a few of those other ones?
Yeah. She's a plant or something, and
yeah.
I also heard that she's a plant by Trump because she's making the Democrats look ridiculous. So
I don't think anybody needs any help looking ridiculous anymore.
Yeah, no kidding.
The more ridiculous, the better.
I can't do that.
Yep, more electable you are.
Yeah.
Those things hurt after a while, don't they?
Well, yeah,
They're
they just
awkward. Yeah.
Powerful magnetic field.
Yep. There's a clip I saw of AOC where she was like questioning some guy from Wells Fargo
Yes.
about something. Did you happen to see that one, Kevin?
Yeah, and everything she was saying was just like she couldn't pin him on anything, so she just kept saying like, "Well, what if this or what if that?" or just super like non-specific things that the company wasn't guilty of doing anyway. So it's like, what was your point in saying all this?
Oh, I love the one where she argued over. She had a Twitter battle with one of the founders of Greenpeace.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Holy cow.
Like, if you're going to argue with somebody over, climate change and, this Green New Deal, I wouldn't be picking a fight with
the Greenpeace people. Yeah.
Yeah, the ones who actually tend to know a little bit more than, a bartender from Brooklyn.
Right.
That's right. People forget she's A little more than a barista.
That's right. She's a bartender.
Bartender, yeah.
She's a mixologist.
Well, and that was the argument, right, behind her being a plant, because it's like, oh, well, she's got 0 life experience.
Yeah. Well, I heard she won a contest or something.
Yeah, or like auditioned for the job, sort of. Yeah.
Her name was drawn out of a hat.
Uh-huh. And it was like somebody that could be easily swayed and manipulated, and she like totally depends on her handlers, and that's why the minute she's off script, just completely comes unglued, and she puts her foot in her mouth and all that kind of thing.
Man,
I don't know.
Give it what? She's not old enough to run for president, but man, 15 years from now, AOC.
What do you got to be 35? Yeah, so she's 29, I think.
Oh, is
right?
she that
Yeah,
old?
so. But yeah, that Wells Fargo clip was great because I mean her logic was essentially, oh well, you guys helped finance the Dakota Access Pipeline, and it leaks. Why shouldn't Wells Fargo have to pay for the leak damage?
That's like accusing the people who create crematoriums, like for blaming them for the Jewish Holocaust. But not only that, it's like blaming the people who funded the crematoriums to burn the Jews.
It's like if I get in a car accident and I run somebody over, and then the injured party
It's Chevy's fault.
Yeah, well, they go after my bank for making me a loan to buy my car.
Yeah. How many layers back do you have to go?
Well, then if you anyway.
Okay, Green New Deal. Where's the good stuff here? Oh yeah, they want.
That was never actually in the deal where you're talking about peeing on or peeing in a water jug or something to save water.
That was never in the Green New
I
Deal.
never said that.
Why wasn't it? It should have been.
The fact that we even have to like fact check that just shows how ridiculous the thing is in the first place.
Yeah.
Net zero global emissions by 2050.
Oh, she's an idiot.
Global reductions in greenhouse gas emissions from human sources of 40 to 60% from 2010 levels by 2030. So that's pretty ambitious. How much is of the world emissions is the United States responsible for? Does it say in here?
Not as much as China.
Okay. Yeah. Because the United States has historically been responsible for a disproportionate amount of greenhouse gas emissions. So wouldn't it like the net or the sum of the greenhouse emissions be what matters? Like not whether or not you were responsible for 85% of it in 1880.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, wouldn't that be more important?
Yeah, but I mean, it hasn't changed. If anything, it's gone up since 1980.
Is that true, though? Do we know that? That the United States is still responsible for a disproportionate amount?
Yes.
Does that say? I'm looking for it here.
It's not going to say in the bill, no. But
well, if that were, I mean, if that were
greenhouse emissions by country.
Quit interrupting me. If it were, I mean, why wouldn't they put it in here? If that were,
why wouldn't they?
Because I mean, that would help their argument, though. Wouldn't it?
I would be expecting to see little footnotes and little annotations and where they're getting these.
Well, just because they didn't put it in there doesn't mean it's not true.
Well, they're making the claim.
Sure.
Yeah. Where's their evidence?
So the former president of Greenpeace Canada slammed AOC as a pompous little twit for advocating the so-called Green New Deal. You don't have a plan to grow food for 8 billion people without fossil fuels or get food into or how do you get food into cities? Horses? If fossil fuels were banned, every tree in the world would be cut down for fuel, cooking, and heating. You would bring out mass death, added Moore, who wrote the book Confessions of a Greenpeace Dropout, The Making of a Sensible Environmentalist. He also ripped her for describing climate change as our World War II. Isn't AOC a bit young to talk about World War II? It was hell and more than 60 million died, he wrote. It's her at G&D would be worse than World War II. Imagine no fuels for cars, trucks, tractors, combines, harvesters, power plants, ships, aircraft, etc. Transport of people and goods would grind to a halt. He continued his broadside by suggesting AOC is a flash in the pan. Her at G&D is so completely crazy, it's bound to be rejected in the end. But she does have wind in her sails due to the political situation. 2020 will be even more interesting now. You're just a garden variety hypocrite like the others, and you have zero expertise at any of the things you pretend to know. OC has sarcastically hailed the Post's hard-hitting journalism because the New York Post is one who reported on it. Yeah, it's...
Which one?
Wikipedia.
Wiki.
Yeah, so I mean, people who know what they're talking about are telling her that she's full of shit, even though she's trying to argue their point.
Yeah, she's definitely radical, I'd propose.
Look at that. China and America.
Sure. Okay, so what's the controversy?
Why do we have to be so self-hating? Like, why can't we put the blame where it's due?
China has... They have some new legislature to reduce their emissions, but not... again, it's not just our fault, as you can see.
But what I was trying to get at with what I was talking about on the Green New Deal thing was it seemed like the argument was because the United States has historically been responsible for most of the greenhouse emissions, then we need to bear the biggest burden. And I don't know if that's necessarily... I'm not arguing as to whether or not something shouldn't be done. What I'm arguing is whether I'm just questioning whether or not it's fair what the proposition is. Is everybody else trying to do the same thing? Is this some global unified effort for
that's a good question.
Climate change? And I don't know if that's true or not.
It's a pretty big disparity there.
Yeah.
25% on this thanks to China.
Yeah.
So should China be the only ones then?
They should be the biggest ones because of the percentages.
Well, yeah. I mean, if we did it just by, so you get a bill, right?
Carbon tax, if you will.
Like, think if you went out and split dinner with somebody and, it's somebody ate 10% of the food and somebody else ate 25%, so on and so forth. Would it be only fair to go Dutch treat as far as, by percentage?
Yeah.
But, right.
No, because America's the great Satan, so we have to be responsible for all the world's problems.
And historical.
Yeah.
Well, we're the great Satan, but everybody asks for our help when they need something,
too.
or when they need money.
Yep. Imperialists.
Yep. Imperialist scum. Say, can I borrow another $400 billion?
Indeed.
Yeah. I don't know much about what China's doing, but they're weird because I think they're like unregulated capitalists in some ways, but then it's like total, state control everything.
Communists that pose as capitalists.
Right, yeah. It's a weird system. And I don't know. I'm not sure if I really trust China to be out for anybody else besides China.
Well, they're not. I mean, they admit that they're China first.
Mm-hmm.
What's wrong with placing your country above other countries?
You mean America first?
Oh, I didn't say that. But yeah, I mean, really, what's wrong with focusing on us before we focus on everybody else's fucking problems? Pardon my F-bombs. I'm going to get chastised when I go home tonight.
I'm a globalist.
You shouldn't swear on your podcast.
Oh, it's all right.
Everybody in the world can see it. Well, yeah, they also
all 30 of us. I wouldn't worry about it too much. Did we have any?
Oh, we
have Dylan Sievert. First time checking in a while. The production is off the charts. Thank you so much. And Eric Hansen, like when Rock on Steve decided his name was now Steven.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Rock on Steve.
Get him on the podcast.
Yeah, he wanted to sell his book one time.
Oh yeah.
Well, should I tell this story?
Yeah, didn't Jill buy it or something?
I don't know. She maybe did.
Or borrowed it or something.
What? So this was when I was at the abstract office, and Steve comes in, and he was pre-selling his book, and yeah, he didn't actually have any books, but he wanted money, and he was gonna give you a book down the line somewhere, and blah blah blah. What's that?
Steve who?
Maybe you don't know Rock on Steve. Oh man, we gotta.
Oh jeez.
We'll have to go to Walmart sometime. Yeah. We'll find Rock on Steve. Yeah.
He's a staple.
We'll do a live remote.
Yeah.
From Walmart.
Oh, I wonder if is he still in the Iowa Lakes Harlem Shake video?
Probably.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, maybe we can pull that up after this.
I think his book is still in the break room at the college.
Oh no!
I flipped through a little bit of it.
We can get going to that. So, yeah. So, anyways, he was like, "Yeah, the book and it's about my life story or whatever it was." And I said something to him like, "So, Steve, blah, whatever, blah blah blah," and he goes, "Excuse me, my name is Steven." I was like, "Oh, really? Okay, well, we're not interested. See ya. Think this is done." But
yeah, that I read some snippets of that book. It's one huge run-on sentence. Many exclamation points.
What didn't we email him to like jam or something?
Yeah.
What happened with that?
Oh man, I think we did, and where we wanted to get some of his music or something, but he wouldn't give us any because he was copyrighted and he was working on a major record deal or something. And I don't know.
Oh man,
What are you looking for here?
I think Rock On Steve is in one of the Iowa Lakes Harlem Shakes, but
Oh, we'll go all the way up to the top. It was there, right there.
is it the library edition?
I don't know.
Do you remember this? Do you remember this phenomenon?
Harlem Shake. Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't look like the. I swear there was one that was like in the gymnasium or something.
Oh,
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
This was so weird.
Yeah, this whole Harlem Shake. Oh yeah. Yeah.
When he was alive.
R.I.P. AGP. You can be yourself. Why go anywhere else? No.
That's
man.
not the official podcast of
No.
Iowa Lakes Community College.
No.
Yeah, we need a disclaimer there, Vin. You're not gonna get in trouble for Harlem
Might.
Shaking for the.
I just might.
What do you want to look at?
What else do we have?
I ran out of material.
Well, it depends. What topic are we going to go to?
Oh yeah, your website, Adam. Help me find that again.
Yeah, so I was having a conversation with a coworker, and we were talking about mail order brides and how mail order brides have been around for a long time, and that there's a relatively large mail order bride Filipino population over at the Lakes area, which very cool. All of these, girls are relatively young, and they're all very happy. And I joked that well, maybe I should do the mail order husband thing. Is that a thing? Can I sell myself to some little Irish lass and get a permanent vacation over in Europe? So we did a little research on mail order husbands and came across this website, and I was so amused. I absolutely had to discuss and read some of these.
Oh, this is great.
Well, it is great. I mean, look at Lenny Poor there at the top. Lenny's a tall fella.
Yeah.
I'm Lenny. I'm 6'5" and looking for love.
Seven
You like
foot
you the
five.
love? Tall guys have it going on. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah. I'm also pierced, and I don't mean in the ear.
He's from Alaska.
Steven, I like Steven. I'm definitely a classic romantic. I like candlelight dinner, some quiet background music, and a couple of hits of ether. I prefer a woman that has insurance and a car. Would be great, as I need to make occasional trips to Mexico to pick up souvenirs.
Quote unquote souvenirs.
Yeah.
So each one of these is funnier than the last. But what I found,
Oh God.
The ad. He's 20 pounds.
oh yeah, look at TJ
Today.
Look at TJ. I'm looking for a girl named Julie. It's just easier that way. I've got a Julie tattoo last year and would prefer not to deal with it. If you want to change your name, that's okay too. But the success story was really, really heartwarming. Thousands of couples have found happiness through mail order husbands, including Arlena and Mark. Arlena had an urgent case. As a result of a self-imposed deadline of being married before she reached 33, she knew that she had a few weeks to meet and marry her man. With few legitimate prospects in her remote location, Arlena turned to mail-order husbands. Arlena met her husband, Mark, through mail-order husbands by first emailing him. Their affection blossomed when Arlena purchased him from his homeland of Latvia. Mark's understanding of English is rough due to his learning disability, but they're both fluent in the language of love.
Oh,
This
man.
is funny.
I feel like this is a troll website.
Oh, definitely.
It's got to be, but it's the greatest troll website.
Yeah. It's hilarious. What happens when you click on email me?
Okay.
Virus.
Yeah.
Who should we go with?
Like
Andrew?
Earl, I deal in reality, and the reality is that I'm ready for love.
Holy crap.
I can chop lots of wood and can even climb a greased pole. I keep in shape by chasing chickens around my backyard, and I keep myself clean by taking baths weekly.
Who are we emailing here?
Let's email TJ.
Yeah. TJ?
Oh, Ruben.
What's our name? Project Ion Podcast?
You know what I mean by rocks my world? It's when laying next to one another on a Caribbean beach, just staring past your feet at the edge of the blue sea, without the need for a single word, as no words could possibly describe how you feel.
All right.
This description is nothing more than a pretty picture without you.
We are a non-binary, gender-neutral podcast.
We are a non-binary.
Subscribe.
Ooh, Fuad is half price. He was at the bottom there. Ladies, I'm still available. I've been here for about 2 years. What gives? Don't you want to party with me? Woohoo. They lowered my price twice already. I'm a red hot special. Come and get me.
Non-binary, gender neutral. Anything else?
Like, comment, subscribe.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
This is awesome.
Okay. Do we miss any required fields?
Nope, there's only 3.
Okay. Bazinga. Success. Your love note was sent to the bachelor of your dreams. Or to our management team.
See if we got an
Or to our management team.
Our husbands are in high demand and receive a great deal of love letters.
He replies it's not a reflection of his interest or disinterest. Oh, dear.
He might be in jail.
Oh, that's funny.
That is great.
We got a reply.
No, did we?
No, that was...
That's
Ooh,
TJ.
Iowa State is spanking Kansas.
Oh, good.
Really?
Well, not spanking. 39-24. There's 17:59 left in the second half.
Good.
Nice.
Today's sports update brought to you by
Today's sport? Yeah. Brought to you by Forsyth Law Office.
Sports.
Or Forsyth Rosendahl. What is it?
It's Forsyth Law Office. Still.
Okay, I don't
Yeah.
know. I have
Yeah.
been out of the. I've been around for so long.
I'm an associate attorney,
Okay.
not a partner. One of these days I'll make partner, but have to talk to your dad about it.
I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, right.
That's funny.
Yeah, no, that was a cool kind of a turnaround.
It was,
because
yeah.
Ed Rosendahl, who's your grandfather,
Right.
hired my grandfather
In the 50s,
50s,
probably?
I think.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and yeah, so
Well, your dad and I have been chatting because it's kind of such a cool human interest story because we need my dad probably to kind of help piece all the timeline together because it goes
Yeah.
so far back. Yeah, but it's such a neat kind of full circle thing. So yeah, it's great.
yeah, it's really cool. That's
I think it'd make a
Aw.
nice little article for the Des Moines Register. Or something
you
like
go.
Or
that.
the Daily
yeah.
News.
Daily News? The News.
The Esterville
News.
News.
The Esther.
Oh, is that what it is?
Fox News.
Yeah, I don't know if they probably can't be Daily News anymore
I don't
when
think
it's like
so.
Tuesday, Thursday,
Oh,
or
yeah.
whatever it is,
Yeah, that's
right? Or
right.
Monday,
I worked
Friday.
there when it was a Daily News for several years in high school.
Really? Did you do the Pepper or whatever that was? The
No,
Oh,
no.
okay.
I told Steve Weisman that since I was writing real stories now, I had no interest in writing about the high school bathroom. But yeah, no, I started writing for the paper in probably 97, 97 or 98. And then it was, he was 2 years older than me. Andy had the long sideburns. You know what I'm talking about?
No, sorry.
That's all right. So I did, yeah.
And now you're on Project Ion.
Several years on and off. Yeah.
For
Look
some
how far
reason-
I've come.
You're right, yeah.
I drove up the hill and sit in the basement.
All right. Are we out of juice? Or do you have something else?
I'm good.
Anybody? Going once?
We've only been here for an hour and a half. What gives?
I'm going twice. Okay. Do we have an outro or anything like that?
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into Project Ion
Yes, we do.
Podcast, brought to you by Tampax.
And Shup's PC Repair, or Jussie's.
Jussie Shepherd.
Jussie Smollett, PC.
Did you? Yeah. I brought that up when we had Jesse on, just so I could ask him if he goes by Jesse.
Yeah.
Yeah, no comment.
I don't know. Someday we will have real sponsors that we can comment on here. Until then, stay tuned. You can catch us at Prion.
Prion Deer Disease. Yeah. Prion.
Do we have a website?
ProjectIon.home.blog.
Yep.
All right.
And we
don't forget to like and subscribe.
Email
and
address.
Don't forget to comment, ladies and gentlemen.
Just give us your credit card.
Yeah.
Amen.
Send us money in the mail.
Just give us money.
Cash,
Okay.
please.
Cash, yes.
Just slip it in the mailbox and
To
go
my
away.
address. Thank you.
Non-taxable.